I just like make everything so damn difficult for myself for no reason. Holy cow, my voice just like cracked. I don't really have much else to say on that. I don't know why you're just chilling over here. It's a freaking heart. I thought it was a mouse. Why did I think it was a rat? Hello book lovers, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steph, and in today's video, we will be doing my March Disney Villainous TBR game. Hi, hello, and welcome. If this is the first Disney Villainous TBR game that you are watching, I will leave the entire playlist linked down below so that you can watch all of the previous months, figure out how we play this game. But essentially, this is just the TBR game that I have created for myself involving Disney villains. It is one of my favorite videos that I do on my channel, and I am so excited to get into my March TBR. As always, I will do a quick recap of what I read in February and how I did in February. But as you guys can kind of see a pattern, I was able to read every single book that was on my February TBR, so I am very excited about that. But very quickly, let's go through a quick recap of February, and then we can jump right on into the March TBR. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do always put timestamps down below in my description as well, so if you do not care about the recap, you are more than welcome to just fast forward right to the March TBR. So a quick recap of February's TBR. The first roll that we got was a Fate, and the book that was selected was Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. Then we got a hero battle. The prompt on this hero battle was CD, so either a book that started with CD or an author that started with CD, and the book that I chose for this is Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs by Caitlin Doughty. Roll number 3 was a Power, which is an anticipated release, and the book that I chose for this was The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjane Kamali. Then following that, I did get another play a card. The prompt on this one is a book set in London, and the book that I ended up choosing for this is Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. This, I believe, took place primarily at a school that was not in London, but the beginning part was them traveling there, which was in London, so I'm counting this. Roll number 5, we did get a Vanquish, so I can read any book on my own TBR, and the book I chose for this was Love Sickness by Junji Ito. Roll number 6, we did get another Fate, and the book I chose for this was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Roll number 7 was an Activate, so a book I've been putting off or has been on the TBR for a very long time, and the book I chose for this was The King of Crows by Libba Bray. I finally did get through this chunky book and finished off with this series. Then on to the additional rolls. Roll number 8 was a Randomize, and the book that was randomly selected was People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. Roll number 9 was another Activate, so again, a book I have been putting off or has been on my TBR for a long time, and that was Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker. And finally, our last roll, roll number 10, I did get another play a card. The prompt on this play a card was a reread. So the book I chose for this was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I figured I wanted to read the whole series. I was very much in the mood for it, so I did decide to put this on the TBR as I was reading the sequel for this month. So if I do add the 2 power from both of these cards, we are going to be starting March's TBR game with 8 power. So that is going to be my recap for the month of February, and without further ado, let's jump right into March's TBR game, starting with how many rolls we will be doing and roll number 1. Okay, so welcome to March's TBR game. We are starting March with 8 power after adding all of the play cards, and we did stop on this space here, so this is where we will start. As always, I will roll my 12-sided dice to see how many rolls we will be doing for the month of March. That is a 7, and I feel like I have pretty much always rolled a 7, which is really strange. So I am going to switch it up and roll again. But again, I do have to take whatever number is next. So pray that it's not a big one. 8. Okay, so that works out. We will be rolling 8 times. Okay, so we did roll an 8, so we will get started with roll number 1. 1. Play a card. A Pet Pick. So for rule number 1, as you saw, we did get a play a card, and the prompt on this play a card is going to be a pet pick. So for the pet pick this time, I just picked 4 books that I was in the mood to read. A lot of them are from my 25 for 2025, so I did want to incorporate a ton of those. So I will just leave the clip of Lucy choosing a book. Okay, so here are the picks that I am going to be putting in the running for the pet pick. This is what we're working with. I'm gonna put the treats on the books and see what Lucy picks. So I have my little helper here, and I'm just gonna let her go and see what book she picks. Okay, go Lucy. It looks like she picked the treat from Black Farm first. So I will just add Black Farm to the TBR. And as you guys saw, the book that Lucy ended up choosing was The Black Farm by Elias Withrow. This book I have been very much interested in. This one is on my 25 for 2025, so I am excited to knock off another book from that list. This has quite an interesting premise, and I believe it is classified as an extreme horror, but I may be wrong with that. But essentially it is following 2 parents who lose their child, and then they decide that they no longer want to live themselves, but then they kind of get trapped in this like hellish world where it wasn't exactly what they thought was going to happen. So I feel like this is going to have a lot of like underlying messages and deal with grief, but I am not sure how the execution is going to go. I have heard good things about this from people who like the genre, but I definitely don't think that this is for everybody. So if you are interested in reading this one, I would definitely look into some trigger warnings. Roll number 2. 2. Another play a card. Everyone has read but me. So for roll number 2, we did get another play a card, and the prompt on this play a card is a book that everybody has read but me. So what I did specifically for this prompt is I Googled basically like the most popular books of 2024 and what was like the most read book. And there was one that actually popped up that is a little bit surprising to me, to be honest, but it did pop up on quite a few of these lists. So I did decide to put this one on the TBR. And the book that I am talking about is going to be Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. This book made a ton of those lists. It was like on Goodreads most read. It was like on a few others, like top 5 books that were read in 2024. And I feel like this came out a little bit later in the year. So I feel like that is why I was a little bit surprised to see this on the list. I don't know too much about this. I do believe that there is a chess element to this book, but it is mainly following a relationship between 2 brothers that are not very close and are kind of on their own separate paths. That's all I really know about it. I don't really want to know too much going in. Sally Rooney, I know, is an author that works for some people, doesn't work for others. I think the only book from her I have read is Normal People, and I did enjoy it when I read it, although I know that a lot of people do not like that book or like her writing style, but I am still really excited to put this one on the TBR. Roll number 3. 2. Fate. For roll number 3, we did get a Fate, and the 4 books that were randomly selected from my Goodreads recommendations were The Return by Rachel Harrison, Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent, and The Stonekeeper by Kazu Kabishi. And I may be pronouncing the author's name incorrectly, so I do apologize. So I will just insert the random wheel spinner right here. And as you guys can see, the book that was randomly selected for this Fate is going to be Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This has been on my list of books that I am so interested in reading for a while. I have read from Alex E. Harrow before, and it was not my favorite. I feel like she was very like descriptive in her writing and doing a lot of telling, but not really showing. The only thing I know about this is that it has been getting a lot of like really mixed reviews. I feel like it's mostly negative that people have to say about this book, and it's also a like gothic fantasy, so I am very much excited for like the gothic elements of this book, but not so much for like the fantastical elements, because I'm really hoping that it's not just like too flowery and over descriptive. But I am excited because again, I have had this on my shelf for a while and it has been like speaking to me lately. Roll number 4. 3. Random. For roll number 4, we did get a randomize, so I will insert the clip of me randomly selecting a book from my owned TBR. Okay, so we did get a randomize, and I am currently sitting at 858 unread books, so let's generate a number and see what we get. 280. 280 is A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley. And as you guys saw, the book that was randomly selected is A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley. This, I am so excited, got selected. So I did read book 1 in this series for Tackle My TBR. I did it for one of the episodes, and it was such a pleasant surprise. I had such a good time with it. I thought the characters were super funny and intriguing, so I am very much excited to pick this up. I am very much in the mood for this type of a romance. I don't know what it is, but these like demon romances have been like really calling to me lately. So this is a like fantasy paranormal romance. In this book specifically, we are following different characters from book 1. We do follow a witch named Claudia, and she basically saves this man one day, not realizing that he is a demon, and basically made a soul bargain with her best friend. But then this demon basically loses his memory, and the two of them go out on this like adventure together to try and help him like remember what his purpose was. So again, this sounds like it's going to be like very lighthearted and fun, and I really did enjoy book 1, so I am so happy that this got randomly selected from my TBR. Roll number 5. 1. Hero. A book you have been avoiding. So for roll number 5, we did get a hero battle, and the hero that we will be battling is Perdita, and let's see how many rolls we will be adding. So we will be adding 4 additional rolls to our original 8, and Perdita's prompt is a book that you have been avoiding. So this prompt is very similar to another one that I have on the board, which is kind of like doing one that has been on your TBR for the longest. So this book specifically has not been on my TBR for the longest, but every time I look at it, I think to myself, I am never going to read it. I didn't realize when I picked it up from Book of the Month that it was actually like a 3rd in a series. I hate when like book subscription boxes do books that are part of series if they haven't like used all of the books in that series, if that makes sense. Like if they start a series and then always do like the 2nd and 3rd one, I like that because then I can like match my collection. But this book, I don't believe that they did any of the previous ones in the series. It was like their mystery and thriller pick, and it's like a 3rd in a series, and I told myself I was never going to read it, but I keep staring at it, and I feel like it encompasses this prompt the best because I literally have been avoiding it like the plague and never thought I would read it, but I'm finally just going to bite the bullet and do it. And that was a very long-winded explanation to basically let you know that the book that I am choosing for this prompt is going to be When I Am Dead by Hannah Morrissey. Again, this is like a mystery thriller, but it is following, it's probably a detective story where we follow the detective from the previous ones as they just try to solve another mystery. So I do realize that you don't technically need to read them in order, but I have like really bad OCD with stuff like that, but I am working on it. So we are just going to put this one on the TBR because I want to get it off of my like need to read on the Book of the Month like little checklist that I do. And I feel like, again, this encompasses that prompt perfectly because I have been telling myself that I will never pick this book up to read it. So this is a mystery and thriller. We are following a girl who is murdered, but then also another girl who is missing. Sounds like a very like typical mystery thriller type of story. I haven't really seen anybody talking about this. I haven't really seen any reviews on it. And if I'm being honest, I'm not super excited, but I am going to be very excited when I can finally remove this from my TBR. Roll number 6. 3. Activate. Roll number 6, we did get an activate. So a book that has been sitting on my TBR for a long time, or something that I have just been avoiding. And the book I am choosing for this is going to be When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. This has been sitting on my like want to read on Goodreads for a couple of years now. I have owned this for a little bit, but I just have never really had the desire to pick it up. It is super short, so I did want to put this on my TBR. This is a horror novel, and it has been compared compared to Octavia E. Butler's Kindred, which was one of the books that like really changed my brain chemistry when it came to reading. That book was like really, really good. And if you have not read that one, I highly recommend it because I don't feel like a lot of people talk about that. So this has been compared to that. I am really curious to see how it compares. So this sounds like it is following a main character named Mira, who does flee her small hometown, and she basically leaves everybody behind, including her best friend Celine. And then the story does take place 10 years after she flees her small town to attend Celine's wedding that is going to be taking place at this plantation that has been transformed into like a luxury resort. I have heard really, really good things about this. I feel like the commentary in this book is just going to hit, and I am very, very excited to put this on the TBR. Again, it has been sitting on my want to read on Goodreads for a while, so I am excited to one, have a pretty short book on the TBR, but also to finally get to this. Roll number 7. 3. Play a card. A romance. So for roll number 7, we did get another play a card, and the prompt on this play a card is a romance book. So very, very simple. I can add any romance that I want. And the book that I am deciding to put on the TBR for this prompt is going to be A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. Now, the only reason I am putting this on the TBR is because I did do a like 24-hour readathon for Valentine's Day where I only read romance books. I will leave that linked up above in the cards or down below in the description. And this was just one of the books that was an option for me to read at that time. And I realized that this book is only like 5 or 6 hours on audio. So I do want to add some shorter books to my March TBR just because I want to try and read as much as I can. So I feel like this would be perfect to gain momentum in the month of March. So that is why I'm putting this on the TBR. I have read from Nicholas Sparks before. I find that Nicholas Sparks is just a very like boring author, if I'm being honest. He writes like perfectly fine romances, but there's really just not much like substance or diversity in his writing. I feel like they are all pretty much average reads, but I did watch the movie A Walk to Remember, and I do remember it very clearly. So I am excited to see how the book relates to the movie. I remember the movie is just very, very sad. So for those of you who do not know, this follows Jamie and Landon, and they are both like very different people. They do attend the same high school, and there is an event that takes place that basically makes them like work together on something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they basically come together and both of their worlds basically collide, and they end up falling in love with one another even though they are both very different people. There is a very like sad element to this book as well, and I'm very curious to see how the book relates to the movie and see the like differences and similarities between the two. And now on to our last of our regular rolls, roll number 8. 5. Another play a card. Movie/TV adaptation. And finally, the last of our regular rolls, roll number 8, we did get another play a card. So the prompt on this play a card is a movie or TV adaptation. And the book that I am choosing for this actually works out perfectly because me and one of my really good friends here on BookTube, Josandi, I will leave her channel linked down below. Go and check out her channel. She is honestly like my soul sister. Like we give the exact same like vibes and energy. Absolutely love her, and she has the most like stunning book collection that I have ever seen. She has like all of the special editions of every single book that you can imagine. So please go and check out her channel if that is something that you are interested in. But we are buddy reading 2 books this month. So I am very excited that this prompt got selected because this works out perfectly for one of our buddy reads, and that is going to be Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. Again, this is another one that I have seen the movie for this. So I am curious to see again the comparisons between book and movie. So this version of my book doesn't have like an actual synopsis of the book. The only thing it really says is the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club, which if you have read this book or seen the movie, you kind of know the significance behind that. So I will just leave it at that. I am very excited to get to this. Again, this is another like pretty short book. So that does make me happy that I am able to add a couple of short books to my March TBR. And again, I am very excited to be buddy reading this book in the month of March. Now on to our additional rolls. This is going to be roll number 9. 2. Fate. So now on to our additional rolls. So for roll number 9, we did get another Fate. So the 4 books that were randomly selected from my Goodreads recommendations are Witches by Scott Snyder, Sex and Vanity by Kevin Kwan, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and Blaze by Richard Bachman. So I will leave the random wheel spinner right beside me here. And as you guys see, the book that was randomly selected is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This book slightly scares me because I tried listening to this book on audio probably a few months ago and I was so confused. I feel like I made it to like the 25% mark and I thought to myself, I have no idea who all of these characters are. I have no idea what's going on in this story. So I did put a pause on it and told myself that I was going to have to physically read this. So I will be definitely physically reading this for the month of March. This is an almost 500-page book, so that is going to be a feat in itself because I am such a slow physical reader. But I did see, I believe that this one won the Goodreads Choice Awards for the best like mystery and thrillers. I am still very much interested in this story. I just feel like it is a very confusing story, so I'm definitely going to annotate and like make notes to try and see if I can keep all of the characters straight. So the only thing I know about this one is that it does take place in 1975, where a camper that is attending a summer camp ends up going missing, but it is not the first time that someone from that specific family has gone missing because I believe her brother went missing years prior, and it is from the family that actually owns this summer camp. This does sound like it will be right up my alley. I absolutely love the like backdrop and setting of a summer camp, especially in like mystery and thrillers. I don't know what it is, but it just gives me this like nostalgic vibe. I don't know if it just like brings me back to some of my favorite horror movies. So I am happy that this got selected. Again, this is one that is on my 25 for 2025. So another one that I can tick off that list, but this one will probably take me a while to get through as I do have to physically read this one. Roll number 10. 1. Activate. So for roll number 10, we did get another Activate. So a book that has been on my TBR or I have been putting off for a long time. So another one that I looked at my Goodreads want to read that has been there for a few years. And I did actually just find this book at the thrift store. So it's perfect because it'll be another owned book that I can get off of my TBR. And that is going to be The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier. I heard about this book from Gabby like years ago when she read it, and she really made me want to pick this up. I have read from Jennifer Hillier in the past and have really enjoyed the like thrillers that I have read. Me and Gabby do have very, very similar tastes when it comes to thrillers, so I feel like I am going to absolutely love this book. This is like one of the like little pocket books that I don't normally like, but again, I found this for $4 at the thrift store. The sticker is actually still on the back. So this is following the story of a retired police chief who ends up giving up his like Victorian home to his grandson, who is an aspiring chef. While his grandson is in this home, he does discover a secret in the home and is battling with the idea of, does he keep this to himself or does he go to the police with this information? I feel like this is just going to keep me wanting to read. It gives me the vibes of like one of those books where you just have to keep like going to the next chapter to figure out what happens. So I'm very excited to finally get this off of my want to read on Goodreads. Roll number 11. 5. Random. So for roll number 11, we did get another randomize. So I will insert the clip of me randomly selecting a book. Okay, and we did get another randomize. So let's see what we get. 837. That is near the end. 837. That is Spells Like Teen Spirit, which I think is part of a series. So hopefully this is the first one. So I'll just read whichever one is the first in the series. And as you guys saw, the book that was selected was The Babysitter's Coven by Kate Williams. This book I originally was like very drawn to the cover. I absolutely love the like purple and pink colors on this cover. I got this for $6 at my local bookstore. It was definitely in the bargain section. It really does not speak to me at all. I feel like my taste in books has changed so much. I feel like me right now would have never picked this up, but I do have the entire entire series. So I am hoping that this is something that at least I find like decently okay. So this does follow two main characters who are part of this babysitters club, and they do get a very like mysterious note one day that is from one of their mothers. Again, this isn't something that I am super excited for. It's not really something that speaks to me now, but I'm hoping I can get an audiobook for this because I am just like really not in the mood to read this. And I really haven't seen too many people talking about this series at all, so I'm not sure if people like enjoy it or don't. But this is one that I never would have picked up myself, so I am thankful that it did randomly get selected. And we will see how I feel about it and see if I will be keeping on to the rest of the series. And finally, our last and final roll, roll number 12. 3. 1 power. And finally, roll number 12, we did get 1 power, so that is an anticipated release. And the book that I am choosing to put on the TBR is going to be A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. This again is the second book that me and Jasandi are going to be buddy reading in the month of March, so I figured that this would be the perfect prompt to basically put this on because I have been very much anticipating this book. I have seen really, really good things about this, and I feel like this is going to be right up my alley. The only thing I know about this is we are following a food critic, and then I believe that she also is a murderer, and the two worlds kind of collide. I'm not really sure if she's eating the people that she is murdering or not. So yeah, this sounds like it is going to be completely up my alley. I am very much excited for this. I have heard really, really good things. I feel like the fact that our main character is like a food critic makes this story feel like so much more fun. So I am very excited to dive into this, and I'm happy that I will be buddy reading this as well. So that is going to be it for my March TBR. Let me know down below in the comments what book you are most excited to read in March, or what book that's on my TBR that you guys are most excited for me to read. That is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did make it to the end of this video, go ahead and leave me the fork and knife emoji. You can do it with or without the plate to represent a certain hunger. If you did like today's video, I would love it if you hit that thumbs up like button. And as always, if you are new here, I would love to have you stick around. So please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in my next one. Bye!